Tom Steyer, thank you so much for being with us.
It is so great to be here.
So how are you feeling going into tonight?
I feel great. You know, there was a poll out today, the Morning Consult poll that averages the 4 early primary states. And they had me at 19% and in 4th place. 3rd place, actually. Sorry. 3rd place, up 2% from last week, and last week was up 2% from the week before. So I feel as if I'm doing fine. I have momentum. I hope to keep that momentum tonight, and I hope to keep going.
So I want to ask you, though, specifically about Iowa, because in our latest CBS News Battleground tracker, you right now are not polling in the top 5. So how confident are you feeling here in Iowa?
Look, I've been coming to Iowa. I love being here. I've had great crowds the last week. We have a lot of momentum, and I hope to come out of here with momentum and to live up to those Morning Consult numbers that say I'm in 3rd place and at 19%.
So you turn on the TV, and there is undoubtedly going to be a Tom Steyer ad on that television. And just talking to some folks here in Iowa, they say they've learned about you more in recent weeks with all of these ads. What has your message been to those people who may not have known who Tom Steyer was before, let's say, the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Well, I think I've had a couple of messages that all fit together. The first one is we have a broken government that's been bought by corporations, and I've spent 10 years as an activist putting together coalitions to fight that corporate takeover, and we've never lost. So I'm saying, if you believe we have a broken government that's been bought by corporations, I'm an outsider who's fought them and has never lost and will continue to do it inside Washington, D.C. so that we can get the health care we want, so we can get education, clean air, clean water, and a living wage. That's 1. 2, I'm the only person in this race who will say that climate is my #1 priority, but I will do it from the standpoint of environmental justice, making sure that we clean up the air and water, particularly in the black and brown communities around this country where we've focused our poison. And we'll do it in a way that creates over 4.5 million good-paying union jobs across the country. 3rd, I'm the person who can beat Mr. Trump on the economy. He's running on the economy. He says it every day. I started a business from scratch. I know more about economics than he does by far, and I can go toe-to-toe and show he's a fake businessman and a failed business person, and he's been terrible on the economy for Americans. And lastly, anybody who wants to be the Democratic nominee has got to be able to put together a diverse coalition of Americans to represent the Democratic Party and to beat Mr. Trump at the polls in November. And if you look across those 4 early primary states, you can see that I'm doing very well with African Americans. I'm doing very well with Latinos. I'm doing very well with a diverse coalition of Americans. And that's something that's going to be absolutely critical for anybody. So I think that the people in Iowa will also want to support somebody who can put together that kind of diverse coalition, because it's going to take someone like that to actually beat Mr. Trump.
So I want to ask you about impeachment, because back in October of 2017, you found a need to impeach.
Yes, I did.
And here we are now in 2020. The House has, in fact, impeached President Trump. The Senate, though, is expected, led by Republicans, to acquit the president. So if that does happen, what will have actually been accomplished with impeachment proceedings?
So I started the need to impeach petition in October of 2017, and more than 8.5 million Americans signed that petition. But they also emailed and called and wrote their congresspeople to say, hold the most corrupt president in American history to account. This is not a matter of partisan politics. This is not Democrat v. Republican. This is stand up for what's right against what's wrong, stand up for America, stand up for the Constitution. And those 8.5 million people really dragged Washington, D.C. out of the idea that this was just political tactics into this is right and wrong. We asked all along, and I specifically asked, we need to have televised hearings where administration officials testify in front of the American people about what actually happened, so we get to judge. The jury that counts here is the American people. And what we've seen is that Republicans have buried the evidence, have literally want to hold a trial without witnesses. I've never heard in my life of a trial without witnesses, and what they've decided to do is bury the truth, to put their party ahead of the country, to break their oath to the Constitution and do something absolutely wrong. And I think Americans across the board, including Republican voters, know that what they're doing is wrong, and they're denying the American people the right to see on TV without anybody editing or coming between them and the truth what went on. And it's just wrong.
Tom Steyer, thank you so much for your time, Tom.
My pleasure. Nice to see you.